So a very warm welcome to you all. And we have with us Selvarajan, who is a professor at Development Management Institute, Patna. First of all, I think just to start with you, I will want to understand from you whether you think, as a unbiased, neutral stakeholder, do you think inflation is an issue in dairy industry? As we have seen, inflation has been a kind of given thing in dairy. We have seen prices going up every now and then. Of course, there have been breaks in between. So clearly, trying to understand here, what do you see? Think of inflation as a key issue for dairy, or I think there will be some kind of threshold where you think it can create problem, like what we have got to understand from other speakers, that next 2 years we will see more inflation, continued inflation coming in. Your views, please.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. Now, of course, I look at it from a more academic viewpoint. There are 3 price lines for milk, essentially. One is a Farmgate price, one is a wholesale price, in which normally the big dairies like GAN or ITC trade within each other also. And there is also a consumer price. And interestingly, my study, in my thesis, I found that there is no relationship between the Farmgate price, the wholesale price, or the retail price of the milk itself. So inflation is price rise. It's as simple as that. Okay. So if these 3 are different, they will affect the 3 stakeholders, basically the consumer, the processor, and the farmer. There are again three people who are in the system. 3 people will get affected differently. India is a specific interesting case of consumer price linearly moving up at around, as of now, it's around 8.7% over the last 10 years on a CAGR basis. Because we'll have to have a single metric. I mean, this short interval, we can only talk about CAGR. The graph will tell you exactly how the figures are moving on a per annum basis. But CAGR is around 8.9% for a retail price of milk as of the last 10 years. Vis-a-vis the wholesale price, what I have got is just 3.7% price. So can you see the mismatch? The WPI of milk, as published by the Government of India, has risen by 3.7%, vis-a-vis 8.7% for a retail price, which is consumer price, what I think even Sanjay was talking about. As of now, it's around 46 rupees per liter of 44 to 46 liters rupees. It has risen from 22 rupees 10 years ago. So there is a mismatch. You can see between WPI and the consumer price index, price, not the consumer price index. There is no consumer price index. There's only a consumer price. And I'm just giving one example. I'm just telling you. So there is a mismatch between 8.7 and 3.7%, number one. Number two, the Farmgate price. There is absolutely no track of Farmgate price paid to the farmers across the country, because it varies obviously between state to state and region to region, and the the processor to processor. So it has not been captured on a single basis, but important is that the Farmgate price keeps fluctuating. As against a linear growth of the consumer price, the Farmgate price keeps fluctuating. That's important, because that also I found in my research. So there is again a mismatch between the price rise, again inflation, so-called inflation, between the price of the Farmgate price, WPI, and consumer price, and therefore its effect on different people will be different as such. Obviously, if definitely the farmer gets affected because there is a fluctuation in price, and milk is supposed to be one product which is supposed to hold on as compared to other agricultural commodities. You are comparatively much well off. The beta value for milk is much lower as compared to other product lines, because it's a daily product as such. So I'll just stop there for the timing. That I just flag it off, saying that these 3 are the 3 aspects: WPI, consumer price, and Farmgate price, and they have got no relationship, and each functions in a different manner as such. Thank you.
No, thanks. Actually, very well in terms of making us understand how it is kind of captured in different links that way. trying to understand more about inflation. When we talk about input as such, feed we know is the largest constituent in terms of inflation. But right now we look at labor disruptions have been there for some time. So maybe on and off kind of relation with the cost right now. But how you see the factors, other factors playing, whether it's a key role or still we are looking at input as the major part because that's a bulk in terms of inflation impact. So how you see triggers besides feed, which are the other factors you think are impacting inflation right now?
Yeah. So I already discussed about the output prices, which is the milk price we have discussed about. We have sort of teased out different parts. So the mismatch between the input price and the output price is the story. That's what is a matter of concern. If they tango with each other, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, किसी को कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, वो चलता रहता है. But the moment that tango gets broken, then everyone gets worried about. And I agree with that. Feed cost has increased. In fact, cattle feed has increased by 6.7% WPA. WPA of cattle feed has increased by 6.7% over the CAGR over the last 10 years, which is again double the price of milk farm, the WPA of milk as such. The second input cost is especially for processors is obviously we all of us know that this affects it's a generic story. The crude oil prices and therefore the transportation cost and the packaging cost has literally shot through the roof and highly variable because of the price has been tagged to the international prices. The transportation cost gets totally out of structure, number one, and number two is the packaging cost. Packaging has become a very, very costly affair, and therefore the price per unit of sales of your product as such has taken a beating. So do we follow the same way? I'm not too sure. I have a doubt because of course, marketers like ITC and Mother Dairy and Amul and all will continue to, or GAN also will continue to go for packaging as such. I'm a bit concerned about that because it's going to show our forex. If we don't have forex, simple as that. We don't have money to buy gold. Forget about anything else. हमको गोल्ड खरीदने के लिए पैसा कम लगती है. Okay, number one. Number two, pulses and edible oils. We are already import dependent on pulses and edible oils. ये तीन चीज खरीदने के लिए आपको पैसे चाहिए, US dollars चाहिए. Okay, and add to that, you add anything else, you are in a real trouble. I stop there. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Selvarajan. I think that's a good starting point. Now I will come to another question, which is from consumer behavior or consumption perspective, looking at the strategy of how to think of containing inflation in terms of still providing value for money proposition to consumers. Have you seen any kind of impact due to inflation on consumption of dairy product versus to non-dairy products, food products also? What has been your experience? And particularly in dairy side, whether it's direct to consumer platform, whether you have seen any kind of uplift in sales because of that direct consumer reach, or any other factor that you think, whether it's technology related or between value add versus normal basic dairy products. As in some of the pointers that can help us in understanding what has been the consumer behavior when we talk about inflation in dairy.
Yeah, India is an interesting market because that's why people like ITC and more, GAN and other people, I really hope more people come into the play. India is very quickly emerging into the product line market from a liquid milk market. We have been a liquid milk market, generally a liquid milk market. And people like Amul have shifted 50% of their total sales to milk product line. Okay, so they already have the sense of literally the guju smell that Rokra kahan pe hai, you get into those areas. Okay, they have already shifted. And I'm sure ITC is also doing similar aspect in terms of margins, where the margins are, especially because we have the younger population coming in. And younger population would want to have a different lifestyle compared to just normal milk. I mean, everyone wants to drink a slightly a premium product, not just milk. Plain milk is passe today. I mean, at least home chal raha hai, But especially urban players and the young players, I think they're getting to the product line market. It could be shake, it could be milkshake, it could be ice cream. I mean, a natural ice cream is a scoop is sold at 120 rupees one scoop. I mean, this is, I mean, Baskin Robbins rate. Okay, I mean, even higher than that as such. So that is the buying capacity is there. I fully agree that the buying capacity is there, and there is a huge opportunity for players like very many players to play in that the product line market as such. Yes.
So there is another question right now that is for Dr. Selvarajan. I think this is on, though I think we do know a bit about that, but in terms of understanding the role of import in commodities, whether that can reduce the burden on India, and how much we should look at that, whether inflation can be contained because of that, though we do know that there are some restrictions, and also because there are, you can say, tariff barriers. But what's your perspective on that in terms of looking at more trading activity with the other global partners, so that we can manage our supply demand, also prices in a much better way? Dr. Selvarajan.
It's this I have just written in the LinkedIn last week only. I've written talking that India has been proudly saying that it is a milk self-sufficient in milk for the last 30 years, and has become the largest player in the player in the world. 30 years. There is something beyond. I mean, 30 years. वही कहानी बोल नहीं सकता है ना. You cannot say that I am studying in the first class for the last 30 years. That's not acceptable. I mean, today, after 30 years of coming to the first in the class, we should have been in the first number one player in the international market. We are not. We are zero in the international market. Sanjay he is a player. He knows. We are a zero in the international market in terms of skim milk powder. Basically, milk powder and butter oil is traded. Not milk as such, obviously. Milk powder and see. That's very unfortunate. I mean, I'm not. That's again outside inflation as such. But so there is a huge scope. That's why I keep saying that my training always I said that we are at a suboptimal level of milk production in the country. Every farmer, if every farmer raises by his production by 1% or 2%, you are in a different world altogether. On a month-to-month or even at 6 monthly basis, if you increase 1%, and it is possible, which is where the nutrition people like Gan and all are working on. I really look forward to as you also said, we are a very small player in terms of organized players in feed market. It's a huge scope, huge. But you have to have a different product line. Sorry. ये कहानी चलेगा नहीं है. So I'm very clear about this. I mean, my co-players there who are producing cattle feed. I have produced cattle feed. I have run a cattle feed plant. I know. वो ज़माना चला गया. I mean, you have to have ask the cow or a buffalo, what does it want? As simple as that. Please ask the cow and buffalo what it wants. Period. I just leave it at that.
How you look at inflation going forward? You already have given a lot of points on that during your previous answers. But let me get the final outlook question from you, answer from you in terms of understanding what do you think of inflation in coming years, and also the dairy outlook for future in India. Dr. Selvarajan.
Yeah, I'll look at it two parts. One is the consumption, and one is the production. So consumption is growing by leaps and bounds. Especially we discussed already. Sanjay's also agreed. Ritu's also agreed that the value-added products is the key driver as such. And the young population demography is there. People are just taking to duck taking to water as such. So it's only your ability to really harvest these waves which are coming. That's the only thing. And more players, you have more strength as such in terms of consumption. So consumption is not an issue, and the price will continue to rise. There's no koi dikkat nahi. Consumers are ready to pay for value. Exactly the word Sanjay used. Production side, I am very, very concerned because that also I have written in LinkedIn. Others also have written. I have written it 6 years ago saying that the salvage value of cattle, if it becomes zero, a function of rearing of an animal, very important, significant factor is the salvage value of the animal. Both the male and the female, at any age, you should be able to sell it. If it is not being sold and has a negative value, not just a zero value, if it has a negative value, we are in serious trouble because 45% of the milk production in India, even now, comes from cows. 55% comes from buffaloes. But if you make that one single factor of salvage value of those 45% of the milk coming in, the value of the animal as zero, meaning you can't sell it, and it becomes you just let it out. Even yesterday's paper, it came with stray animals in UP are hanging around as such. You look at that, we are in serious trouble. People will not start rearing. They will stop rearing animals, cows especially. That is going to be a serious issue. And I don't know who is playing into the hands of the foreign countries. Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka is begging around for milk powder because they do not have milk. They don't have forex also. They don't have foreign exchange also. Yaad rakhna. And India is exactly opposite. So I'll just stop by saying that I'm a caution, especially on the production side. I'm very, very concerned about the policies at policy level. That's important. I mean, individual level is immaterial. Policy level, one policy can completely have a ransack. Yaad rakhna, the pulses, we had the same problem. Edible oils, we had the same problem. Both we were self-sufficient, and today both we are import dependent. And I caution, I put it on record in this particular meeting. I have written it again and again, not just once, very many times. Last 6 years I've been writing about this, that we are falling into a trap where we will become import dependent for milk powder as pulses and as edible oils. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Selvarajan. I think good insights, a bit critical also, so well taken. Thanks a lot for wonderful insights during the session. I think it's always good to get different perspectives on, particularly if you look at dairy industry in India and right now in the context of inflation. And I think the key point coming out, what I understand so far, is that inflation will remain in the sector. And it's more about how you can manage this imbalance, like what Dr. Selvarajan talked about, CPI, WPI, in fact, at different levels, the price parity or imbalance coming in, and how you can protect the interest of all the stakeholders so that everyone will be happy. So that's not always the case in this kind of market, but hopefully, I think more and more demand will be coming in, and that will push opportunities, make more opportunity in the Indian dairy sector and the feed sector going forward. So with this, I thank you once again, Mr. Selvarajan. Thanks a lot for participating in this session, and look forward to be in touch with you all going forward. Thank you.